on some of those cards, and the first one I'm going to do is this recessed frame card that I used on the cover. So let's go ahead and get started. You will take some cardstock. You will have a full sheet. This one's already been cut, but you'd have a full sheet, and you're going to measure in whatever width that you want your frame to actually be. The one on my album was a 1/2 inch. I'm going to make this one 3/4 inch. So on the right hand side and on the bottom, you would measure in 3/4 inch and draw a light pencil line. I've done it in pen here so you can see the lines, but you would use a light pencil so you can erase it. Once you get those two lines drawn, you're going to take your image. This is a vintage image that I downloaded off the internet. You can use whatever you want to, a stamped image, whatever size. It doesn't matter because you're going to be fitting your image to your card, so it'll be the exact right dimensions. So whatever you're going to use, you're going to line up with those two bisected lines. Then you're going to take your pencil and you're going to draw around the other two sides of the image so that you have your center drawn out on your card. Then you would take your ruler and measure out your other two sides, the left and the top, with a 3/4 inch margin also. Alright, once you have that done, you would have your whole card front laid out. Alright, to make the recessed part underneath your image, you need to draw another rectangle inside of the one that you already drew. So you have your outer rectangle is the size of your image, and you need to come in 1/4 inch on all sides and draw a smaller rectangle. Alright, once you get that done, you're going to take whatever you use to score, and you will score both rectangles. You line it up on your scoreboard with your lines that you'll still have on here, and do your 1/4 inch margins. It should be easy to do. And you're also going to score the top line where you marked your 3/4 inch margin, plus you're going to go up another 1/4 inch and score there also. Alright, once you get that done, you have your whole card front laid out there. Alright, you can either cut your pieces now or you can wait. It doesn't really matter. But you need to have your designer paper that's going to go on here put on before you start folding your card. It'll go on much easier when everything's still flat. So before you do any folding, we're going to put our designer paper on. Alright, to do that takes a little bit of math. Not a lot. I'm mathematically challenged, so I'm not giving you anything hard. But you're going to have to measure all the way across the width of your card. Alright, now as you can see on the one I made, I left a little border out from the designer paper. For this designer paper, I did not have enough to make a complete square to go around the frame, so I had to piece it. You can either piece it like I did and miter the corners and do the brads and all that, or you can make it one solid piece, which is what I'm going to show you how to do here. But anyway, you're going to measure the total width of your card, but you need that. I'm going to make a 1/8 inch border around the frame. So you need to take off 1/8 on this side and 1/8 on that side. So when you measure, this measured out to be 3 5/8, so I need to cut it at 3 3/8. And you need to do the same way lengthwise. Take off the 2/8 from whatever your measurement is. Then you'll put, and I'm just going to use a piece of copy paper to show you how to do this. You're going to take your cutter. If you're comfortable doing it this way, you can. If you're not, then you can mark with a pencil and cut it that way. But if you're comfortable with it, put your paper on the 1/2 inch mark, and also put your cutting blade on the 1/2 inch mark, because with me making an 1/8 inch border around the 3/4 inch frame, I will end up with a 1/2 inch border of paper. So I'm going to start at the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to cut up to where I would need to stop, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right here. You have to do a little figuring on that if you have an odd size. so that you have a 1/2 inch cut and you still have, you know, your 1/2 inch there. Line that back up with a 1/2 inch, and you're going to do the same thing. Have your cutter on a 1/2 inch down there, and you will go up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, right there. Now, once you get a couple of those done, then you won't have to guess where to put it. You can line it up and you'll already have the one side done. You just cut up to the line you already had there. But you're going to do that all the way around at a 1/2 inch. And when you finish, you will have a frame like this. And I already have one cut out of the design paper, and that will get glued on here, and you can see it cuts out perfectly to have your 1/8 of an inch margin both on the outside and on the inside. Alright, once you get that done, you're cutting. You're going to cut the inside rectangle. If this was a square, you could cut from corner to corner and corner to corner, but being as it's a rectangle, it will not line up through all the corners. So you need to cut from the inside rectangle, the small rectangle, corner to corner, both ways. Then you'll have to come back with your ruler and line up from this corner to this corner and make that little cut. And you're going to do that on all your corners. And once you get that done, you will have this. Alright. Here's your 2 score lines at the 3/4 above and the extra quarter to make the depth of your card. You're going to turn your card over, and each one of these folds. The first line of the original rectangle is going to fold out and be burnished with your bone folder. Then the next one will be folded in. All of these will be folded in. The points go in. And all of those will be burnished also. And you'll have to push them back in a little bit. They get a little bit out of shape. But that makes the insert a perfect match for your image. So you'll have that in there, and then this would be glued on already. I didn't do it for time's sake, but that would be glued on there already. So when you flip it over and you have your image in there, it of course looks messy. So what you would do would be to take another piece of designer paper and cut another piece out the exact dimensions of your image. And I'll show you on the one in the album what that looks like. You will glue that onto the back of the insert. And of course, you know, when you have your image and everything ready, you put some adhesive or glue or whatever, and you have your image glued in there, and that will hold the shape of that box for when you get ready to put your designer paper piece on the back. So that is how you put all that part together. Now, I have not cut this back to the right length yet, as you can see. I don't do that because it looks to me like it always, when you start scoring things, if you cut it ahead of time, you're going to be short on one side or the other. So I would wait till after I had done my scoring and folding. Then I would take my ruler and I would measure the measurement of the front of the card and match it exactly for the back of the card to cut it. But that is how you make a recessed frame card. It's not hard, as you can see. Just takes a little bit of math if you have an odd shaped image that you're working with. But you can do it, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And thanks for watching. Bye.